I'm all ready to go! I'm doing this one in my basement. Fetch is the newest release by the Japanese noise rock band Melt Banana. Did a little research going into this, emphasis on little, and apparently they've been around since the 90s. They've released 10 other albums, and I don't know what else to say. Let's just go straight into the album. I could go into extreme detail about how the album sounds, but that doesn't really matter because I can just summarize this thing in 2 words. Sonic Fast. Yeah, this thing is extremely speedy. Every track on this thing I don't think is like below 300 beats per minute. Like that, it's just that fast. The drummer's arms must have been made of more arms. There are constant ridiculous guitar tricks going on in the foreground and the background. The synthesizers they bring on here are either textures to the background or just shrill, ear-piercing sonic tortures. It's ridiculous. It's like if the Flaming Lips got combined with something fast. A cheetah. Or a escaping convict. I don't know what that analogy was. Let's cut that analogy. This whole album is just, ooh boy, very intense, very fast, very loud, and most importantly, very fun. Because not only are they including elements of noise rock, not only are they including elements of grindcore, but guess what? Let's bring in the pop. If you think noise rock is kind of challenging and at sometimes kind of even exhausting to listen to, no worries, because if you're going into this record, expect simple and catchy chord progressions, ridiculous hooks, crazy arpeggiated chords all over the damn place. This thing is an intense rush, and honestly, I'm still on the fence of whether or not I like it. There's a lot of things that this thing does right. This thing should be a real draw to me. I kind of like noise rock. I haven't really gone too much into that territory per se, but what I've heard I can understand it at the very least. But for someone like me, it's usually about melody and catchiness, and in some cases how catchy you can make a sonic journey. As much as that sounds pretty pretentious, but that's just the kind of thing I'm into. And so, of course, I'm going into this thing saying, oh, grindcore, it's going to be more about the speed than it's going to be about the music. And then I see noise rock, and I'm like, I tried to get into the Flaming Lips again. Don't make me do it again, Daddy! Oh, God! Yes, it wasn't accessible. Yes, it was noisy. Yes, it was chaotic. Yes, it was all over the place. And yes, it was fast. But by no means of the word did it turn me off. Nor would I think it would turn off anybody who has a relatively open mind about music. Honestly, the whole record is just this one really tight, really fast, and really interesting experience. The lyrics and vocals are just drowned out in this sea of just ridiculous chaos going on, so any lyrical content is usually lost unless you're consciously looking them up. In addition to that, the vocalist sounds like a bird, a tiny little chirping bird. Just pips everywhere. All these points in the album aren't really that stand out. One song bleeds into the next. Similar time signature, as fast as that's gonna be. Similar tempos, differentiating chords because they actually do kind of focus on the whole pop hooks thing. It's just all very similar. And I would say that that's kind of the point. This whole album isn't very long. All of the tracks on the album range from 1 to 4 minutes, and most of them being 1 to 2 minutes. And there are only 12 tracks, so it's a relatively short listen, I would say, with the next to last track being the only break from the constant barrage of noise that you're getting, with it's basically just being a sample of what sounds like a swamp in the middle of the night. Field recordings. So all of this makes for a technically composed experience, but I'm not sure if I liked it or not. I'm not sure if I dug its lack of variety with its tracks. I'm not sure if I dug at times the kind of synths they were using. At points the vocals were just kind of grating, even if they were being drowned out. And also, I guess it was just kind of me, a little bit. This album is definitely made to get your blood pumping. It's definitely one of the ones that you're going to go, oh yeah! But for me, I have a really hard time getting emotionally attached to things, which is why a lot of my relationships with people deteriorate. as a result, it's hard for me to feel catharsis from things, you know, stuff like movies and TV shows and stuff. It's really hard to kind of get through my shell. And this isn't really one of the things that get through my shell, you know? This would be a fantastic 30-minute hype-up soundtrack, and that would serve that purpose very well, just the idea of you just listen to it, getting excited, get pumped, yeah. But for me, it's just hard for me to get invested into this thing. And there wasn't very much variety, and all it had really to fall back on was that kind of energy. And although that energy is most certainly there, and you can definitely feel it in the tracks, and it would definitely get the average ordinary person just pumped up, it just didn't get through to me. So when the entire foundation of the album wasn't there to support the rest of it, all I got was just kind of 30 minutes of the same thing over and over and over again, and it just didn't click with me very well. If you're a fan of noisy, fasty bird cat things, then by all means check out this album, because it'll definitely get your blood pumping. But for someone like me, I just didn't connect with it that well. So that's basically all I got to say about that album. Let's get the hell out of Dodge.